This is 5 things that you must know before getting a hair transplant in Turkey. Now, we want you to get the best hair transplant results wherever you go. And so this checklist is going to ensure that if you're going to Turkey, which has a huge hair transplant industry and does over $1 billion a year in annual revenue from hair transplants alone, that you get the best results. So we're going to start off with the first thing that you must do or know before you go to Turkey. And this is going to be probably the most controversial, and that is you must get your hair evaluated by an excellent top surgeon somewhere in the world that provides and does daily both FUT and FUE surgery. So FUT is the strip that they will take out, and FUE is the poking individual follicles that they'll remove. So those are the two kind of styles of hair transplants. So why do you have to get your own hair condition analyzed for this? Because different than a lot of information that you might see online, anyone who really knows a lot about hair transplants, and you can check out any of the channels by excellent, smart people about hair transplants, people like Matt Dominance or my friend Mr. Rolandis, any of these guys are going to tell you the same thing, that some guys are better candidates for FUT surgery than FUE surgery, and some guys are better candidates for FUE surgery than FUT surgery, and choosing the right one to start with for yourself is a very important choice to make. And so if you just fly over to Turkey and go to a surgeon that all they do is FUE surgery, well, guess which one he's going to do on you? FUE surgery. That's all that he does. So it's very important that you have your hair analyzed by someone who's not biased, because they perform both FUE and FUT surgeries regularly. That way, they can really choose surgically which one makes the most sense for you. So prior to deciding to go to Turkey, make sure that that is done. Number 2, you must know that you have to take preventative hair loss treatments, and one of these needs to be finasteride or dutasteride. That's important to know before you go to Turkey. And please ask the clinic that you're interested in going to in Turkey if you must take finasteride or dutasteride for the rest of your life after getting surgery with them. And if they tell you, no, you don't need to take finasteride or dutasteride for the rest of your life, do not go to that clinic, because you want a clinic that has your best interest at heart and you keeping the best head of hair for the rest of your life at heart. And that is just not good medical information. So if they're not giving you correct medical information for your hair loss, well, then who's to say that they were actually do a good job giving you a good hair transplant surgery? So number 3, you must know if the clinic you're going to in Turkey is a low volume clinic with maximum 3 patients per day that your surgeon is working on. Why is this so important that it's a low volume clinic?
Well, think about the dilution of the talent pool. I mean, I can tell you, being in this industry a really long time, there's different levels of technicians that are extremely important. This is a very labor-intensive procedure, either FUT or FUE. So the technicians alone, just in that pool of people, you're going to have some home run hitters that are hitting 50 home runs a season, and you're going to have some that are striking out all the time. They're usually let go. So who are you going to get that day? Are you going to get that person that's been there 10 years, that has done excellent work, that's a very fast placer and dissection of tissue? Or are you going to get the one that they're training and just started? And when you go to a foreign country, any foreign country, these are the things that you're not going to be able to find out.
Yeah, what's really difficult in going to a clinic that does high volume is the higher the volume of people that they're working on per day, the more staff that they have to have. And when you increase the number of staff that you have, the harder it is to keep everybody at the same level of talent, and the more turnover that you have. And especially when you're doing these super high volume procedures, when they're doing lots of grafts and lots of patients, you're working those techs really hard. Surgery is surgery, and surgeries can be dangerous, like regardless of what kind that you're doing. If you're gonna have a brain surgery done, would you rather have your brain surgeon just doing surgery on you that day, or do you want to be the 4th or 5th brain surgery that he did that day. It's a pretty obvious answer. So it's really important that this is not a high volume clinic, because it's one way of guaranteeing that your techs and that your surgeon aren't super tired by the time that they get to you and just like, oh God, I can't wait to get done today and go home and go to sleep.
If you're tired, if you hate your job, I mean, if you just are dissecting tissue all day long and it never stops, there's going to get up to a point to where you're going to have, and I think it's called industrial psychology. You're going to have a lower quality product that's developed. So that's not who you want to be. And how do you know whether you are or you're not?
With the surgeon that I've had most of my surgery done with, Dr. Daniel McGrath, he has had basically the same techs as long as I've known him, which has been 10 years. I think in that 10 years, there's been about 3 people that have changed in 10 years. And a big reason for that is that he pays his techs very well. So he has to also charge you more money, but at the same time, you're getting techs that have been doing the same job. Like the I think newest tech here has been here for like 2 years. So you're getting people that are extremely qualified, that's all that they do, that they're well rested, because he only does a maximum of 2 surgeries.
No, he actually does 1 surgery a day. He has the capacity, the staff, and the operating rooms to do 2. But the doctor likes to have a good life and not burn himself out as well. And he, of course, plays a huge part of the procedure. So Dr. McGrath will do about 5 cases a month of 2 surgeries, but they're normally like smaller surgeries. Okay. But 1 large case a day is, in my opinion, I'm a patient, I'm a consumer, I want all the attention on me. Yeah. And that's what I have tried to get out my message, is that you want one of these mom and pop kind of VIP type establishments that take really good care of their team and their staff, and everybody's kind of happy coming to work that day.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, I feel way more comfortable coming in here to surgery knowing that I'm the only guy that he's working on that day. I mean, it's like, I know, okay, he's gotten a good night's rest, yeah. He's all rested, and now his focus is on me. And if it's the opposite, and even if I'm the 3rd person that he's working on that day, it's like, it's already 3 times. Like, I'd rather him maybe have a little bit of a rest before he does my very labor-intensive surgery, because this is very intense. If you've watched hair transplants being done, not to get into the weeds too much, but there's a ton of focus. I mean, it's like a very focused, intense work. I would say a good way of relating it is something like, painting a really intricate picture. And so at the same time, like, how many really beautiful paintings can you paint per day? Like, you just don't have the mental capacity to do but so much work per day.
Yeah, and to elaborate on that, David, as an example, okay, I talk to a lot of African American female patients who are suffering from hair loss. It's normally called traction alopecia. And the black hair, the black skin is amazing. I mean, it's strong, the hair's beautiful, but the skin being a little bit stronger is harder to dissect. Dr. McGrath's team's using microscopes, and as his colleagues do as well. And it takes more time. You have to gear yourself to hey, we've got a young lady coming in. We're going to need to do 2,500 grafts. We're going to do it right. We're going to do it perfect. We're not like, oh my God, the 3rd person of the day today is a black girl, and I've got no energy to cut this tissue. Yeah. And so I'm a perfectionist. There's no question about that. And I want to make sure I'm crossing every T and dotting every I. So when you choose a clinic, the industry wants to make it seem like it's changing tires or buying tires for your car. Hey, why would you go from Austin, Texas to Houston to get tires for your car? That's crazy. Just go down the street. Rubber's rubber, right? That's what the industry wants, because there's not a lot of superstars in this industry, and there's not a lot of doctors that are turning away a lot of patients in the best interest of the patient. So once you sift it all down through the funnel and you come out with a really good qualified candidate for a really good procedure, and you bring on your very best staff and a really good doctor, now you're talking.
I went to a dermatologist a couple of weeks ago, and I booked the dermatologist a few weeks in advance. And I walked in, and the first thing out of her mouth before we even started talking, she just goes, I don't have that much time today, so what's the most important thing that we need to go over? I was like, what? Like, that's the way we start our doctor's visit? It's what's the most important thing to you? I don't have very much time. I just couldn't believe it. Canceled my next appointment that I had scheduled there and left them a bad Google review. And I talked to the patient consultant on the phone. I was like, really? That was the first thing out of her mouth? It's
Wow.
just like who talks to people that way? But I don't know. Maybe they're a high volume dermatology clinic and she's just tired. And like I would have paid twice as much money to have gone to a good dermatologist where I was like, okay, cool. So skin, you got a lot going on with skin. Let's go over everything that you need done and make sure that it's taken care of. Is there anything that I forgot? Any spot on you that I need to check out that you might have thought of? Not like, okay, show me a spot. I got to get going.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we're gonna go over. This is number 4. You must know what your plan is and an agreement is with a clinic. If your hair transplant results are not what you expect, will they fly you back to Turkey? If they're not going to, and there isn't some kind of guarantee that the grafts are going to grow, what if you end up with a whole section of your head where the grafts don't grow and you have to fly back to Turkey? I mean, you're going to end up then spending just as much money as if you had just gone to an excellent surgeon locally, if you have to also pay for your flight and now your hotels. And I don't know if they're going to charge you anything for that. So there's got to be some kind of plan and discussion I would definitely bring up with them about my results and what's going to happen if I have to come back. Number 5 is if the surgeon performing your surgery, you must ask them if they are a member of the ABHRS. That's the American Board of Hair Restoration Surgeons, and not the ISHRS. So the ISHRS, you can easily pay for a membership and just become part of the ISHRS. But with the American Board of Hair Restoration Surgeons, the ABHRS, you actually do have to pass a very stringent exam to be part of the ABHRS. Making sure that they are part of that board will guarantee that they do know what they're doing. I hope that helps you guys out with the 5 things you must know before having a hair transplant in Turkey. Look forward to seeing your results.